Hi, I'm Paul. I'm going to talk in this video a little bit about thought. You see, I've talked about thought in the past, and I think I might have thought of a slightly better way of maybe explaining what thought is. You see, I think that thought is friction in the brain, kind of like a division or a disagreement. So, I spoke before about corpus callosum. You see, you've got two hemispheres of the brain, and they're separate. And in between, you've got the corpus callosum, what connects the two brains together so that they can both communicate with each other. And I said at one point that the corpus callosum, perhaps the thoughts actually come from that. You see, I don't know whether I'm quite right with that, because let's just say that the corpus callosum and the two hemispheres are working in absolute perfect harmony. Therefore, there's no thought. I mean, let's think of this. You're driving a car, and you've been driving for years, so it's automatic. So whilst driving the car, there's absolutely no reason to think. It's automatic. It just happens. But then somebody pulls out and something changes, and now you've got conflict or friction in the brain, and now you're thinking. So I think that if your brain's in perfect harmony with truth, not reality or illusion or fakeness or trying to delude yourself or whatever else, when it's in perfect harmony, there's no thought. So it's only when there's friction that thought arises. Now let's look at it like this. I spoke about the corpus callosum, which is what connects the two hemispheres together. So people who have epilepsy, I don't know whether they still do this operation, but previously they used to do an operation on the brain, which would be to cut the corpus callosum in half, which means that there's no connection between the two hemispheres. And one of the results from this operation, let's say, imagine you're going shopping, and one hand picks an item off the shelf and puts it in your basket, and then your other hand takes it back out of the basket and puts it on the shelf. You see, because there's no connection between these two, they both operating separate. One hemisphere says, I want this tin of beans, and the other hemisphere says, I don't need a tin of beans. But in this case, there's no friction. There's just two actions. So let's say we've not got a severed corpus callosum, and one hemisphere says, I need a tin of beans, and the other hemisphere goes, no you don't. And now there's an argument between them, and this is the friction. Do I really need the beans? Do I not? See, let's say I go to the shop and I've got no milk at home, completely run out. I go to the shop and I pick up the milk. There's no argument, no thought. I just pick up the milk and pay for it. But then I see a chocolate bar, and then one half of my brain says, I want that. And then the other half of the brain says, it's not good for you. So now I have friction between the two hemispheres, which is thought. So thought comes only in a disagreement, a friction between two understandings, or perhaps having two understandings and not knowing which is correct. But either way, it's a division between the two hemispheres. Anyway, I think that's all I've got to share. Thank you very much for listening.